Hello, everybody. I am Romeo B. Rams Jr., Master of Arts in Education, major in Educational Management. I'm here to present my title proposal called Negative Effects of Distance Learning to the Performance of Electronics Student of Marikina Heights High School. Learning is essential to human, especially to students. It helps open up many opportunities and set values of goals in life. After a virus called severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, or COVID 19, additional academic learning was no longer an option as it required strict virus isolation and temporary physical closure of educational institutions. Distance learning is a form of education that involves physical separation of teachers and students. During the instruction and learning process with the use of various technology. According to Settlety, the negative effects of distance learning are higher dropout rates, limited interaction, lack of time commitment, and lack of structure. Online learners who lack self-discipline and motivation have a hard time completing schoolwork on time and fail to review before exam and quizzes. Additionally, course completion for online courses was 82% compared to 90% of traditional courses, as reported by Columbia University Community College Research Center, according to Nell Koch Mueller. Some online learners face several of concerns and challenges, such as increased workload, lack of access to a stable internet connection, lack of motivation to learn, and unavailability of acquisition of technology hardware, according to Armstrong, Mensah, Ramsey White, Yankee, and Shell Brown, 2020. One of the most common problems in digital learning is teaching difficulties. Lectures are suddenly terminated due to technological problems impacting the learning of the students. The goal of this research was to gather information on how the transition to distance learning influenced the output of Martin Heights High School electronic students. Statement of the problem. There are three statements of the problem. Number one, what are the different approaches to cope up with the issues in digital learning? Number two, what are the factors that affect students to be unmotivated? Increased academic workload, then stress. Last, how did learnings affect the students from the low-income families? Lack of internet access and unavailability of technology hardware. Significance of the study. The findings of the study may be useful to the following. Number one, the students. The students will benefit from this study because it will provide ways and techniques on how to cope with digital learnings. Second, the teachers. The teachers will be able improving the quality of their synchronous classes and engage with their students on a weekly basis. The next, the parents. The parents, by providing results from this study, the parents can help motivating their children with their online classes. And last, the school. The result of this study can be a basis on how to improve the quality of digital learning. Scope and delimitation. This study aims to focus on the effects of distance learning, factors that contribute to it, and how students would cope up with it. This study is primarily focused on the negative effects of distance learning on electronics high school students. This study will be conducted with limited amount of time framework. Review of related literature. A common form of distance learning for K-12 students is modular learning. It uses self-learning modules or SLM based on most essential learning competencies or MELCs given by Department of Education. Class modules are printed out and issued to students to be answered to and submitted for grading to teachers. According to Santos, 2020, reported that modular learning increased the workload of 42,000 public school teachers as they had to compress thousands of academic books to be printed out as handouts. A nationwide organization of public school teachers' dignity coalitions are already begging for donations of paper and ink due to insufficient budget to print out modules. According to Leonteva, 2018, investigated that problems of modern distance learning, the study concluded that there are shortcomings of distance learning, such as the lack of quality communication with the teachers and the faculty, the students' inability to contact with their teacher, make it difficult for them to seek help when needed, unlike traditional classes wherein the teachers and faculty within the school's campus. Effective distance learning requires true planning, and traditional teaching methods need to be adapted to a modern learning environment that often lacks visual cues. Students must gradually become aware of and acquainted with new patterns of communication, learn to manage their time, and be accountable for their own learning. The purchase and maintenance of suitable equipment and the preparations of teachers and facilitators to make efficient use of it are necessary requirements, but they are not sufficient in themselves to guarantee an astounding distance education course for the school system. Distance learning implementation is resource intensive in order to produce a proper courseware. Money and time must be assigned according to Sherry 1995. According to Almanar 2020, their study conducted results that can be used to provide factual data, suggestions, and advices on the implementation of distance learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. The study's findings proved to have impact to the students' learning performance due to connectivity, compatible devices, computational skills, and contact between students and teacher. As per Joaquin, Viana, and Acela, 2020, COVID-19 challenges in education requires careful and well-planned implementation to improve and enhance the quality of the current educational system. In the new modern mode of learning, it involves the skills of teachers, the learners and context, and the learning environment's performance. More importantly, common problems, for instance, internet speed issues, material costs, and mode of delivery, are to be strategically engaged by teachers, parents, school administrators, and technology-based companies. Digital divide is one of the biggest problems that arose during the pandemic. It is the gap between individuals who have access to modern information and technology and those who lack access. It is a worldwide problem and will continue to widen as the pandemic remains. Some students fail to take part in digital learning without reliable internet connectivity and technology, according to Lee and Lalani, 2020. Methodology, research design and method. The qualitative research design was used in the study. The qualitative design using the case study research was utilized for data collection. The study sought to determine the negative effects of distance learning to the students' performance. Research instrument. The research instrument used in this study is online interview. Online interview allow the researcher to have flexibility in questioning electronic students. The respondents of the questions can inquire or consult the researcher for more information.